So technically, all the other movies that are made could be in a multiverse.
Exactly. That's what I was about.
Oh, Johnny.
No, I can't.
Really frustrating. It was like
Johnny!
I'll come back to that. No, I won't. She
was like hot for Kurt on Glee.
Okay,
well, that's a little bit.
Wait a
Is
second.
it? I have to say.
Wait a minute.
Fangirl Central.
Okay, and now we are all recording.
Oh,
Yay!
awesome.
We are recording on all cylinders.
Oh,
How are y'all?
Good.
so good. Happy Wednesday.
Happy
Wednesday.
Thrilled to be here.
I'm
Welcome.
thrilled that y'all are here.
Welcome.
Both
Welcome.
of you. This is crazy. I feel like this is a long time coming.
Me too.
Oh my God, I've
Every
been
day
waiting
I
on
wake
this one.
up and I'm like, when am I going to be on Fangirl Central?
Where's
Time
our
has
call?
come.
The
email was sent.
The email was sent. The texts were sent. We're all here.
It's like waiting for the draft.
Oh,
Good.
Oh, Amanda just quoted that yesterday for no reason.
The draft.
oh, the
no,
drought.
No. Waiting for rain in this drought.
Because we
Useless and disappointing.
You'll edit that out, right?
What happened?
That wasn't the
going-
line.
Oh, no.
No, keep it in.
Keep it in. Anyway, so welcome back to Fangirl Central. I'm Amanda.
I'm Amber.
And being a fangirl is central to our identity.
Yes.
And today we have two of our friends, Caitlan Moore and Sunny Zimmerman.
Woo!
Because
Welcome.
They have a play called LBJ in Netflix as a Joke Festival in 2 weeks. If you're listening to this, it's happening in 2 weeks, so get your tickets.
Get your tickets.
Do y'all want to say a little bit about what this play is about?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. The play is about Lyndon B. Johnson. A lot of people think it's LeBron James. It's actually about
Really?
former president
Who thinks
Lyndon
that?
B. Johnson.
Will it be like
I've had
LeBron
several
James
people-
Jr.?
LeBron
LeBron.
James. In their mind, it makes sense, and I offer them
hear it.
compassion
Oh,
and understanding,
no.
though it would not occur to me.
I hear it.
But yeah, the play's about Lyndon B. Johnson. I play Lyndon B. Johnson. It was inspired by my fangirling for a series of biographies about LBJ.
That's right.
Shout out to Robert Caro, who wrote those books. There's 4 of them. He also wrote something called The Power Broker.
Whoa.
Shout out.
Yeah, so he is like a well-known guy because these books are epically long and very, very detailed. And he spent 50 years of his life writing them. And it shows. Very good work.
Whoa.
Now, I have a question that's random, and I feel like we've maybe asked you before, but did this writing process happen before or during or after the Hamilton,
Oh my
wave?
God. Well, after. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Long
So-
after.
Okay.
As the legend goes, I was reading
Obsession
the
too?
books.
Sorry, continue.
The Obsession came in quarantine.
Okay.
Because I'd always meant to read the books but never had the time because they're thick.
Yes.
So, yeah, I was finally reading them in quarantine, really obsessed with them because LBJ is such a good character, but also you learn so much from the books about the way that politics works in America. And I'm a political nerd. Caitlin's a political nerd, so I was talking her ear off about it. I was talking everybody's ear off, but especially hers, about the books. And she was like, you just got to make a show where you're LBJ. And we happened to be hanging out with our friend Albert at that moment, and that guy is handsome. All right, he looks like a Kennedy, and we were like, "Oh my God!" And Albert's got to be a Kennedy, right? He's got to play JFK because famously LBJ and
Put him in
JFK were
there.
rivals. So yeah, and then the rest was history. So a couple years of like continually outlining the show and fleshing out what it would be. Caitlan and I would like discuss it a lot of what the hell should this even end up being. And then we got into the Elysian Spaghetti Fest, that's where we met you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Origin story.
These are like
Crazy.
two of the first people we met doing Disney
Yes,
Vortex.
I remember when we stood outside of the Elysian Theater after that first meeting.
Yeah.
And we kind of had a podcast type conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
we
a lot
just
to discuss.
had like a meeting of the minds. and they're like, oh,
and
hey,
what do you like? And
y'all
you like
show-
this? And we remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, y'all show sounds are so cool.
Yeah.
Because we had to go around and like say everybody, like everyone said their ideas
right.
and what we were doing. And like, I remember having no clue what the process was about to be like at all.
We had not written, like, the show was not written.
No,
Right.
when we
ours
got
was
into
not
the
written as
festival.
well.
Was crazy.
Yeah.
That was a crazy time.
So, Yeah, but just to explain what the show is, because I know when you hear it's about Lyndon B. Johnson, it sounds boring, but I promise it's fun, it's zany, it's funny. Caitlan is a director.
Yes.
We've got a small cast. And the premise is that I'm playing a historical actor going into a classroom to teach the kids about Lyndon Johnson, but then the problem is I've gone method and I've become so subsumed in the role that I truly believe I'm LBJ. And so our friend Katie Davis is playing the teacher. We have our friend
Shout out
Soraya,
Katie.
awesome, talented Katie Davis. The lovely Soraya Perry is playing
Shout out
Lady
Soraya.
Bird and Jackie and his mom and Albert Muskies, aka Edgy Albert on
Shout
the
out
internet, who is our friend from college, but the internet's, I don't know, hot guy into pants.
Oh, right.
Fashion.
Yeah, he's playing the Kennedys and LBJ's dad. So yeah, the show's kind of like a play within a play. LBJ's telling his life story to these kids, and obviously everything goes off the rails. So it's fun.
It's a great play. I've seen it. I think I've seen it about 3 different times,
And
it's
thank you
Damn.
for that.
it's
Yeah, I feel like I've seen
fantastic every
fangirling-
single time. It gets better and better every time.
Fangirling for LBJ.
Fangirling for LBJ.
I
highly,
feel like I've
yes.
seen it like 4. I lost
Damn.
count because I love theater.
Yeah.
And what fangirling is to me is like being so obsessive that you want to watch it again and again and again and
Yeah.
again. And that's what's sad about theater is like sometimes it's really expensive and you can't just like keep going.
I
But
know.
now y'all have been doing it so many times that I can do that.
Doing it to death.
Yeah.
we really are.
Well, okay. So when I hear LBJ play, and Amber already mentioned Hamilton, like what comes to mind for me is fan fiction. Like creating your own story about people or characters that already exist separate from you and like putting your own spin on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I do feel like our show, like in a way, does share a lot of DNA with Hamilton, just in that I think the same way that Lin-Manuel Miranda clearly became obsessed with Alexander Hamilton.
Yes.
Sonny became obsessed with Lyndon B. Johnson. But I think that our show is, you know, I didn't see Hamilton until I think like 2021, and I did not see it live. I saw it on Disney Plus. We watched it together along with Albert and our friend Tuesday on the 4th of July. And I feel like it's a really, I don't think this is rude to say, it's a dorky show. I mean, it's a dorky thing to make
Hamilton.
a play about an American president. I think the main difference between our show and that, besides the fact that we have a much smaller budget and no music, and
Some
ours
music.
probably-
Some music.
that's true.
Yes.
And ours will probably not end up on Disney Plus, is that ours
You
is,
never say never.
Never say never.
Never.
But I tend to think it won't.
Only for moral reasons.
But ours is like, what if everyone else in the cast of Hamilton had been kind of like side-eyeing Lin-Manuel? Like, this guy's kind of a bit of a loser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that Sonny's a loser.
No.
Sonny's
No,
an
but it's like
LBJ.
The character I play is definitely a loser. For sure.
And sometimes that's like what you need, you know?
Yeah. It's an outlet.
Like
Yeah.
it's like meta. It's like putting on a show about putting on a show.
Yeah.
And so whenever you involve the audience, it feels like we're already like all in the show
We're
too.
on. Yes. Oh, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything specifically, but
Yeah.
Let me. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything.
Are you implying the like secondary layer of it? Because I do want to. I don't know. When I pitch the show, I kind of leave it at what I just said. But then
Okay.
I do want to say, especially for this audience, like there's more to it than that. It's
Yes.
about like I'm non-binary. Hint, hint, hint. So there's more at play.
Yes.
I promise. It's not just like a straight historical.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
No. It's very. Yeah. It is. It's a very like nuanced take on like just being obsessed with a political. It's the same. Okay. Sorry to compare it to Hamilton again, but it's the same thing of like being becoming obsessed with a political figure and then finding your own identity through it, which is what fangirling is with
Yeah.
anything you're obsessed with.
Yeah.
So it is a heavily like fangirling show, which
That's
a lot of
exactly
people
what it
can.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a key step, I think, in keeping it real, and also like I think it's, you know, like the hard thing about fangirling is that no one is perfect and anyone can be taken down in public opinion.
Yes.
And I feel like when you can isolate, well, what is it about this thing or property or person that like really gets through to me?
Right.
Then you kind of like safeguard yourself from like aligning your fate too much with someone who is, in our case, a war criminal.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's
like actually idolizing them. And
Yeah,
Right.
it's like
they're every.
You want to be careful about that.
Yeah, right.
what you do is like, well, you can like the art and like maybe not be so obsessed with the artist, but in like the fan works case, like fan fiction case, it's like you're putting what you connected with to the story and then like completely like making your own and like having catharsis through the story. And so LBJ becomes not really a real person anymore. It's like a character that you're like projecting all this stuff onto, which is meta in itself.
Right.
And like that is something that we talked about in an earlier episode with Allegra Rosenberg, talking about like real person fanfic, like where people will like ship real people in real life. And it's like, it's not even about the people. It's like what you know about them in real life is characters.
Yes.
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 I
in
resonated
itself.
with that.
Yes.
I have
All public
definitely read
figures.
some of that fan fiction.
Yeah.
What
For
fan
sure.
fiction did y'all read?
Oof. A big one for me was My Immortal, which is a very famous fan fiction about Harry Potter, but also it's by this girl. Her identity remains a mystery. We only know her as Ebony Darkness, Dementia, Raven Way. Maybe she was black.
That's what I asked.
yeah.
I literally wrote, I have a note
Just
here.
by
I said,
name.
Ebony, was the author black or was that just an emo thing?
Right.
I mean, it's a very
Can you
emo
imagine if she were
fanfic.
white?
I know. I'm like,
My moniker is Ebony.
I feel
like,
like
who
she
would say
could
that?
be white. Like she was an Evanescence fan. Okay, I have her name. Her name is Ebony Darkness, and darkness is spelled dark apostrophe ness. Dementia Raven Way.
Dementia.
See, if we're
as a
using the
name.
context clues, she didn't know what dementia was, probably, or she didn't care.
It's right.
So I think
word.
it's possible that she would not have known that Ebony is like, you know, like you wouldn't name your white kid Ebony.
yeah.
She might have thought it was just literally black.
Yeah.
Like at like the darkness of
been
my
like,
soul.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So for those who don't know what My Immortal is, because I did some research on this because we had a pre-interview and Caitlan told me about this. First of all, have you read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
How
that's
many words is it?
it's not that long. Like
It's not that long, but it is. I mean, at the time when I was 14 years old,
Right.
it seemed really lengthy.
Yeah.
right.
you
The
know?
chapters, like I read the first 2 chapters and they're literally like it takes up
Yeah.
this much
Oh.
of a page.
That
And
is
so it
really
was clearly
short.
probably like also written by like a 13-year-old. But it says this is a description of somebody who reposted it on fanfiction.net because apparently it got taken down, the original. The Return of My Immortal. Excerpt from Encyclopedia Dramatica. My Immortal is the most famous, notoriously bad fan fiction ever written. Based very loosely in the Harry Potter universe. Very loosely.
Loosely.
okay.
And featuring a blatant Mary Sue protagonist, Ebony, or oftentimes Ennaby, because there's a
Yes.
lot of
A
misspelling.
lot of typos.
What?
Oh, that's funny.
Of her
That's
own
hilarious.
name?
That's actually hilarious.
Darkness, Dementia Raven Way. It reads like a detailed list of everything a fanfic author could ever possibly do wrong, only taken to exaggerated, horrifying extremes. Written by Tara Gillespie. Is this this might be, I don't know.
Oh,
This
Tara
might
Gillespie?
Tara Gillespie. Is that somebody that you know?
Well, the former headmistress of my high school was Dr. Gillespie. So,
Oh,
any relation?
A relative.
Possibly.
very related.
A relative.
Guys, I
relative?
really don't want to out her.
Well, we just
know.
did.
It just, I don't know, feels wrong.
Wait, is
Are
she?
we doxing?
This
No,
might-
I'm just kidding.
It might be. I
was
feel
like,
like it could be a pen name. I don't know.
Like, is she hidden?
My Immortal was
It's like
originally
Lemony
posted.
Snicket. If you knew who Lemony
Yeah.
Snicket was, would you
Oh.
go telling
Yeah.
everyone?
we would just
Or-
sit in silence.
It
I have
was
several
So it was
questions.
originally posted sometime in 2006, but was subsequently deleted by the staff after causing a severe drop in the site's collective IQ.
Oh!
So somebody is
wrote this?
editorializing.
Wait,
wrote
yeah,
this?
You know, I
what?
gotta
That doesn't
say,
seem right.
I've read a lot of fan fiction in my day, and it's a little fucked up to say that one is
Okay, 'cause I'm like,
the
how
worst
crazy
one
was
out
this?
there.
I would say, I don't know how it got so popular.
It was
but
pretty slow, more than anything.
It just okay,
you
yeah.
know?
Because why are they saying that it's bad fan fiction?
It says, in fact, the fanfic was so unbelievably bad that many refused to accept that it's real, insisting that Tara was only trolling and that the story is really a parody. Regardless of the author's intent, My Immortal remains one of the most cringeworthy, unintentionally hilarious, so bad it's good pieces of literature on the internet.
See, I think the reason people hated on it, like ultimately, I think she flew too close to the sun. Because me and my friends, when we were kids, would very often pretend that we would play Harry Potter.
Right.
Yeah,
Which meant
same.
We would pretend we were dating boys we thought were cute in the Harry Potter movies.
Exactly.
Other than that, like it wasn't like we're like trying to find Horcruxes or like you know, defeat
Right.
Voldemort. It was just we go to a boarding school and we have boyfriends who have magical powers. And that's essentially what this is. It's just wish fulfillment. And I feel
Okay.
like everyone was too ashamed to admit that like, yeah, this is kind of what I want too, you know?
So this was like a self-insert without claiming that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And like
This is a harsh.
yeah,
That's a
like,
harsh take this here.
I would say that the internet has had a similar reaction to Madam Web. Have y'all seen Madam Web?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yet. Ugh.
Yes, it's a bad movie. I will
It's
say that. I will
lame.
start it out, but I think that it has this effect of like it got so memed that everyone saw it and they were like, "This is hands down the worst movie I've ever seen in my life." And I was like, "You haven't seen enough movies
Yeah.
because
It
there's
wasn't
worse
that bad.
movies
It
out
Feels
there."
very like when we all start dunking on something to prove something about our own intelligence when it's like, okay. Like,
Yeah, it's like,
it
do
doesn't
you
take a genius to know that this movie is...
Is not the
like
greatest.
yes.
It was. I had
It's
the
like, are we all
time of my
bandwagoning?
life. I said that it was the spiritual.
It was fun.
Oh,
I
before
were-
it leaves.
You have to see it in theaters. You
I
have to.
really
I would
enjoyed
go.
No, I'm
myself.
really.
I would go with you again because I wanted to see it again.
It
And
just
I
seems
you
like
have
it's
to
gonna
get
be a
really
classic.
high.
Yeah.
I said it's the spiritual successor to Twilight, the first Twilight movie.
Wow.
Yes.
That's like how like camp and like taking itself seriously and also like female driven and like there's so many elements that I like about it and so many elements that like normal Marvel wouldn't do because it's too crazy.
Sydney Sweeney in a wig.
Sydney
my
Sweeney
goodness.
looking
Oh
like
my
a
God.
nerd.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
Which is
it's so hard to
insane to me.
wrap your head around.
Worst Wait, what do you think of the theory that Dakota Johnson thought she was going to be in an actual Marvel movie?
I think they all did.
They all did.
I think they all did.
Because when they released it to the trades a few years ago, that's what they made it sound like. Like I remember even
Yeah.
in like the first Deadline article I read about it, they were like, yeah, within the Tom Holland Spider-Man universe,
Yes. Yes.
Dakota Johnson has been cast in a spinoff.
Yeah, because they were like saying that about the Venom movies and then all the other ones. And technically they are in the same universe because Venom was in, spoiler alert, Venom was in the last Spider-Man movie. But in like a parallel universe.
Yeah.
But they're in a different multiverse.
Yeah.
It's just...
So technically, all the other movies that are made could be in a multiverse.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. I was like, wait,
Exactly.
so
This
there's
Like
is sort of the
Made in
problem
Manhattan
with,
is in that multiverse.
Marvel.
yeah,
losing the plot.
Multiverse, like filmmaking.
Yes.
I think
Oh my
that we're
God.
getting a little bit like loosey goosey with
Very lost.
We need some rules. We need some
And
boundaries.
Marvel needs to take a break. We say this like every
Yep.
episode.
Yeah.
They need to just
Take a
just
break.
Go
Yeah.
make the blueprint, redo it.
do something
As
else.
a kid, I was really into continuity errors in movies and TV shows. So
Yeah.
whenever I would watch anything, I would go to IMDb and look at the continuity.
Yeah.
Same.
section.
Me too.
Gotta go
Yeah.
to the
Goofs.
goofs.
Yeah, but I
Goofs.
also loved like retcons, you know, like when they change something later on in a show, and that, like for instance, like in Degrassi.
I was about to say there's one.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Degrassi, there's so many
Yes.
because they like
What?
started making that show in like 2001.
Yeah.
But then the characters who were in 7th grade then don't graduate from high school until 2012 or something, or maybe it was
There's it gets the timing gets off. Like
Yeah.
the characters that come in who are like in 9th grade don't
Yeah.
graduate until 2012.
Right. Okay,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, but they've been in sophomore
like,
year
that's
for
like
Emma
3 years.
are in 9th
Yeah.
grade in 2001, but they're in the class of 2009 when they finally graduate.
That happens
Right.
in Glee with Blaine, with Darren Chris's character.
Yeah.
He used to be older than Kurt, and then they made it so Kurt graduated like before him, so that Blaine could stay back,
Wait,
and
wait,
they
wait.
could still have like an
Yes.
like original cast member.
Oh,
for
okay.
longer.
Yeah, and they
made him younger than Kurt. I was like, he was literally a year older,
Right,
and
that
then
was
they
the
made him a
whole
year
thing,
younger.
that he was
Yeah.
kind of guiding Kurt
Yeah.
through like school and sexuality.
Yeah, and then they baby girlified him, like literally. They made him pretty
goodness.
like
They teenage
like
dreamed
whiny.
it.
Oh,
and,
he
like-
did become whiny in the later seasons.
he did.
I was gonna say that JT had a brother, or JT
He had
didn't
a
live with
sister.
his, he had a
He had
sister,
an adopted sister.
and Manny. No, that was Spinner.
oh, right, Kendra.
Yeah,
My
but
bad.
but Manny had a brother. They mentioned
oh,
once.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they
Once.
never showed him.
Never showed him. She's an
No.
only child.
Also, where did Kendra go? Like,
Where did
she was
Kendra,
in-
Toby and Kendra disappeared off the face of the earth.
Oh yeah,
They
But what's
just
weird
ended
is
their
Toby,
storyline.
when they do, because you know how like they rebooted the cast a few times, but then they would sometimes bring in like an old person from the school.
Yeah.
There's an episode during the like Darcy's younger sister Claire,
Mm-hmm.
when she's like in her first year at school at Degrassi of high school, she and her friends do a robotics competition.
Right.
And Toby is the judge of the robotics competition.
Right.
But now he's like a millionaire from
Yeah.
doing robots. And
What?
it's like he did all that
Yeah.
in like the 2 years since
He went to
graduated.
college.
A
Yeah.
millionaire.
Right.
Wow.
He was like there and being famous.
I got
That
confused
was
when you
weird.
said Kendra because the actress that plays Paige plays a character named Kendra
on Life with
on
Derek.
Life with Derek.
Oh wow.
And to me, that girl is Kendra. Like, and then Amber
That's
kept saying that
crazy.
she was Paige. And I'm
That's
like,
Paige.
that's Kendra, that bitch from Life with Derek.
Yeah, she
Two
was,
different multiverses.
But she plays a bitch in both episodes. In both.
Typecast.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the
TV
guy
shows.
who's because she's Derek's girlfriend.
Yeah,
right?
for a while.
Yeah.
And Derek then is in Degrassi Goes Hollywood
Right.
as the Jason Mewes.
And that actor is gay.
Yep.
Wuck?
Derek is
Did you
gay.
say Wuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Walk. Yes.
Walk.
He's gay.
Yeah, I realized, I don't know how I think I came across his Instagram.
I found out. Yeah, it was something about. No, it's TikTok.
He's
on
super gay.
TikTok.
He's like so iconic. Like he looks great.
Him and Ashley, who plays Casey, are like best friends.
They had
And
a
that's
really
Wait, who's
horny
Kate? Which one is
tension.
Casey? Oh,
The main
Casey.
character.
Life
Yeah,
with
Life
Derek.
with Derek, Life
Okay,
with
we're on
Derek.
Life with
This
Derek.
is Life with
I love
Canadians.
talk about
Marty
fan
and
fiction.
Casey.
Back to fan fiction.
Talking about fan fiction, I didn't know that fan fiction was a thing while I was watching Life with Derek, but if I did, I probably would read Casey
For who?
and
Who
Derek.
Yeah.
There was some
Casey
weird
and-
tension
So
going.
that's-
on.
That's
I've
the
never seen
step.
Life with
They're
Derek.
They're
step
step
siblings.
siblings,
They're
but there was
step
so much
Oh,
sexual
okay,
tension between
I've seen
them.
clips
Yeah.
of this
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this is a well-known thing that
Yeah.
those two
Yeah.
step siblings
It was
were
weird.
possibly fucking.
Yeah.
I just
But he's
remember-
gay in real
But
life.
not
So I
Derek.
think that it might
But
be
maybe
like
Derek.
that they were best friends. Like
He's
they
a
were best
good
friends in real
actor
life.
then, because he
He
his
plays
character
straight.
Tricked you?
I was
made
in love
me
with him.
Yeah.
H-word. Yeah.
He is really hot though. Yeah.
It's not. I can't sit here and say that I haven't been H-word about gay boys before in my life,
Oh
though.
God!
Oh,
I
I
mean,
mean-
every boy
yeah.
I
Hasn't
dated in
been.
high school
Yeah.
Come on.
was a
Who has?
homosexual.
Definitely.
No, I was like hot for Kurt on Glee.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's a
wait,
little bit-
wait a
Is it?
second.
I have to say.
Wait a minute.
I know. I have to
Even
say.
with the voice.
Like y'all, gender is
The
a
effeminate
strange
nature?
thing.
I
I'm
guess
not
so.
saying that
I
because
guess
the
so.
voice is gay. I'm saying that because
The
the,
gay
voice is
is-
annoying.
The
The
voice,
voice
is,
is
annoying.
gay.
And
Well, yeah, but not all gay voices are annoying. But I'm so sorry, Chris Colfer.
so
Your
okay,
voice can be
I
annoying.
think
We are
what's
tiptoeing
important-
around.
What's important to pinpoint in this attraction going that way is what do you imagine is going your way? Is it where's your gender pinned down in this attraction?
There's
Like,
no. This is the problem with my gender and sexuality is that I only half the time am I attracted to people that within their gender and sexuality are also attracted to me. Where it
Got
comes
it,
back,
got it, okay.
like it doesn't have to come back for me to be attracted.
Sure.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
like I feel like sometimes I'm like this podcast is my journey to being non-binary, and so it's like I haven't figured everything out. However, I do know that sometimes I want to
we're waiting.
my Christian repression. Sometimes I want to have sex with a man as a gay man, but I don't
Okay.
want to be a gay man
Okay.
all the time. You know, it's like
But
the,
some of
it's
the time.
sometimes.
Remind me after this. I have a book recommendation for you.
Oh
Ooh,
shit!
yes.
How about say it
Okay,
now?
sure.
Yeah.
Because
I actually-
our
yeah,
listeners
everyone
might
should hear
want to
this.
Shout
see it.
out.
I wanna read it,
Paul
too.
Takes the Form of a Mortal Girl by Andrea Lawler. It's about this shapeshifter named Paul who can basically make himself any person of any gender presentation. And as a result, he can have like straight experiences, gay experiences, lesbian
dream.
experiences.
See,
He
I
can
would
really
love
do
that.
anything. And it's a really fun, also very emotional
Great
book.
book.
Yeah,
Wow.
I would. Is it? It's a narrative.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I would love to read
Same.
that.
It's short. It's a quick
Ooh.
read.
Okay.
It's
Great.
also it's exactly like my taste.
It's not that short, but it's
It's you can get through it.
It's like 300 pages.
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
that's not.
Oh, I'd read that.
That's not intimidating.
It's not a novella, but you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, but I feel like I say that Glee was like the very beginning of me realizing I was gay in so many different ways because everything about Glee is like so crazy.
Yeah.
There's
Can
some
I
crazy.
ask more about that? Because I went through the Glee era, okay? Didn't make me gay. I was made gay by other things. Because I think at least specifically Glee was kind of an awakening, not an awakening, but like kind of pushing things forward for gay men. And I feel like for gay women...
Santana Brittany erasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Santana,
yes
Brittany,
and no,
and Quinn.
You know, yes and no.
Quinn. I don't know how far I got in Glee.
Quinn wasn't. I don't mean Quinn was gay, but I was like super attracted to
Remember
her.
when Quinn and Santana hook up at that wedding?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I remember that. See, I loved that. I was like, is this about to happen? And then it happened. And she was like, I don't think it's for me. And then Santana was like, that's fine, girl.
I don't remember that at all. I think I need
For
to
me,
rewatch
okay,
Glee.
for me, it was the Caitlan kiss. But also for me, the most of the fan fiction that I've read is / fiction between two men.
In general, not just for
in
Glee.
general. Not, and I never read
interesting.
Glee fan fiction because it was all in the
whole
text. I didn't need to
show is
get.
already
there's
fan
no
It's the fan
fiction.
fiction.
I didn't need to
It's
get the
so
subtext.
chaotic.
I was like,
Yeah.
the Caitlan kiss for me, when I saw that on screen, I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to church again. Being gay is not a
sin.
choice
Yeah.
and it's not a sin.
Yeah.
And look at their love.
That was me. That was Degrassi for me. That was Marco.
Oh my god.
Like,
Marco's
and I'm not
storyline.
even kidding. I wrote one of my college essays about this. They were like, what's a piece of media that changed your life? And I was
The
like,
kiss.
Glee made me question my Christian background.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the power of Ryan Murphy.
I was about to say, hey, where's Ryan Murphy?
And it's literally just so fucked up. It is. I can't say that I saw myself on Glee, you know, but I did see some certain things.
But something about seeing two men kiss, you were like, okay, clearly there's not anything wrong with that. I'm questioning my Christianity. Got it. But was there like the next step of, I think I'm gay, or was it just the detachment from?
It was the detachment first, and then when with the Britney Santana storyline came later, and then once that happened, especially the Britney episode where Britney was doing all the Britney Spears stuff, where she they did the Madonna Britney Me Against the Music with Santana, and I was like, this is making me feel certain things, and I'm gonna just ignore it. I'm just gonna ignore it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm definitely attracted to men, so we don't need to
Think
open
further.
that can of worms
Yeah.
until like things like Fifth Harmony made me question that in high school, and things like, I don't know, Miley Cyrus also saying that she was gender neutral and bisexual when I was like,
That was something
I
for me.
can't understand what she's talking about, but like,
It makes
Maybe.
sense. Yeah.
How could that be?
yeah, and then I started reading lesbian fanfic in high school also, and I was like,
Okay.
I'm not telling anyone about this.
That's what happened to me. Yeah, because I got into fan fiction through, sorry to the listeners, NBC's Chuck.
I'm sure there's some listeners.
There sure are.
Yeah.
There's dozens
I've
of
never-
us.
I don't know if I've seen
dozens of us.
One of my friends in high school was obsessed with Chuck, so
That
I'm
show
familiar.
Had a grip
Oh, God.
on the audience. We were just like, what's gonna happen next? And I can't explain it. Like, looking back, I rewatched it maybe like a year or two ago to be like, what the hell was in that? Like, why was I
the
so
main
gripped?
character?
Is Zachary Levi.
Okay.
Zachary Levi
Well-
plays Chuck.
Chuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Psych.
Oh,
I get those mixed up too.
That's
Another-
a lot.
Aren't they
Another
big green
excellent
letters?
show. Love Psych.
Yeah. Green letters on site.
One word.
Yeah. And Chuck was famously always in danger of being canceled. So I think part of it was that like the fan base kept like campaigning to keep it. And so like I think that helped the like insanity of it all, and everyone got more and more passionate.
That really brings community together.
It does.
Yeah.
Canceling a
to
show.
the point where like I think season 3 or 4 they made some sort of deal with Subway where Chuck works in what's basically a Best Buy.
He works at Geek Squad. He
Oh, right, he's a
literally works
nerd.
for Geek Squad.
They keep
Yeah.
calling them nerds.
Yeah.
I watched the pilot.
Awesome. Great pilot. And then because of the deal, because they weren't making enough money from viewers and ads, they made a special deal with Subway where Subway would have a sandwich shop within the Best Buy that he works at.
Of course.
And they would feature it a lot, and a lot of the characters would be eating Subway. So it was like bottom of the barrel for network TV. But I've thought a lot about this. The love story at the center of that show was, I'll stand by it, a pretty good premise, because he's like a normal guy, and then he's got the CIA agent attached to him, played by Yvonne Strahovski, who we know from what's it called, Handmaid's Tale. She plays the
She
evil
is
wife.
so pretty
She's
in that show.
So that's
like
the thing.
so pretty. I was like, this
That's
is
the
unreasonable.
thing. At the time, I was like, wow, she's so pretty. Like, Chuck, I'm rooting for you.
Oh, yeah.
Did not realize what was going on, but I think that's a pretty queer show when you think about it. Okay, he is a great stand-in for a queer person trying to
Hear that,
woo a
Zachary
straight
Levi?
woman. Okay,
And
because
that's
the whole thing is he's trying to woo a woman that like shouldn't like him back. So I think that's what was going on, why I felt so passionate about that pairing. But that was like my gateway drug to fan fiction. And once I figured out, oh, you can read fan fiction about anything, then it was like all bets are off. So
spiral.
then, you know, in the next couple of years was when I was first starting to clock like, oh, I'm really passionate about this pairing that happens to be two women. And I guess I'll read some fan fiction about it, but like that's only because I think it's really good writing. I'm like, I'm really interested in how they're going to turn out, and we didn't get much within the show, you know. And so then it got worse and worse. But all along, not really clocking it as what it was.
It takes a second to sit down and think.
What were like the lesbian
the dots.
pairings that you were reading?
Big one was Cosima and Delphine from Orphan Black.
Okay.
Wow.
Wait, are those two clones?
No,
Okay,
don't worry.
okay,
the
okay,
two
okay.
clones weren't messing around with each other. One of them, the one that wears dreadlocks, we never really talked about that.
Oh.
This is
She's not the same one as the blonde one, right? Or is she
She
the blonde
is
one?
not.
Okay.
No.
I briefly watched Orphan Black.
Excellent show.
I
Well,
know
season
what it's
one,
about.
Excellent
I've
show.
never
Tatiana
Everything
Maslany is
after-
amazing.
Amazing.
Tatiana
What
Maslany.
happened with her
I don't know.
career? What are
What
her
happened to
agents
She-Hulk?
doing?
Why She-Hulk?
What's going on?
Oh, she's She-Hulk.
Ugh. Tragedy.
She-Hulk was odd. I only watched one episode. It was with Megan.
But I watched a
like a
couple
supercut.
scenes.
The
yeah,
CGI
I watched
was
I watched a
crazy.
supercut and I was disturbed.
Yeah.
I mean,
why did she take that?
I don't
Why did she
know.
take that
I
deal?
don't know.
You know?
There are real 7-foot women. Also.
Oh, that's right.
Amen.
I mean, Megan is way taller than her. Megan could have been She-Hulk.
she probably could have done a better job. And
Although I am glad she wasn't She-Hulk.
I'm glad too.
Yeah, but she doesn't need that on
She
her
doesn't
got
need
good
plate.
music
Yeah.
instead.
No.
Yeah.
But Orphan Black, that's interesting. I mean, I was reading a lot of like Spider-Woman, Captain Marvel fanfic. There's not a lot of lesbian couples because fandom usually focuses on the men because
Yeah.
there's more male roles. Like there's more male characters, and usually the female character only has a couple character traits, and there's not a lot to build off of, so it's harder to write for them because there's not a lot there. You have to make up a lot, and like it's like depending on, for me, when I'm starting to read a fanfic, if the world is not believable and if the characters aren't in character, I have to stop reading because I'm like, I don't believe it.
It's like they would never do that.
They would never do that.
I agree, and I would do that with One Direction fan fiction, and that's why I would never read.
Never.
I would never, and that's why I didn't read that movie that is now on Netflix.
After.
After.
Well, also wasn't
Never read
Harry
that.
like abusive in that?
Crazy abusive.
He was?
Never
Okay,
would
so
read that.
in the fanfic, they made Harry like an abusive boyfriend, and then
Yeah.
they adapted it into 4 movies. I'm pretty sure there's 5. The After series on Netflix, starring Hero Fiennes Tiffin, who is Ray Fiennes' nephew,
Yes.
who
Wait.
plays young Voldemort in Harry Potter
They're
and the
based
Half-Blood
off of
Prince.
Harry Styles.
I thought those were
fan
based
fiction.
on books.
They are based on
Wattpad.
books that was based on Wattpad
And
fan
I mean,
fiction.
his name was
like
Harry
in the same
Styles.
way
Terrible.
that like the 50 Shades books are based on
Twilight.
Twilight.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
In the same way that the Mortal
I always forget
Instruments,
that.
the Mortal Instruments is based on Harry Potter fan fiction, incest between Ron and Ginny.
That's
What?
so crazy. I
did that?
I always forget that too.
This woman named Cassandra, the characters,
Who did
this
that?
this
woman named
the characters like fall in
This
love.
woman named Cassandra.
that woman.
The characters fall in love, realize that they might be brother and sister. It's highly likely that they're brother and sister. Stop dating, and then realize no, they weren't brother and sister all along, but it was a possibility.
That could be a fix for Luke and Leia also.
Yeah. Although they were brother and sister, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, she ended up with the sexier guy, so
She
all's
did.
well that ends well.
And
all
Luke is
won.
gay.
Yes.
Yes.
So, well, much. The only thing I know about Star Wars fandom is like all the gay stuff. So like like everyone's headcanon is that Luke is both gay and trans.
I don't know anything about Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Trans in what sense?
Those are the headcanons that look, I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I can't talk about it, but the only Star Wars fans that I follow on Tumblr and Twitter think that.
You know, the thing about Star Wars is I do know a lot about Star Wars from past employment experience. I will not talk about by name.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Don't speak on it.
Don't speak on it.
The thing about Star Wars that's really interesting is there is no property, like because it started in the 70s, you know, so people had a nice long head start on like fan-based content before we were even really thinking of it as like fan fiction or, you know.
That's a good point.
There is so much, like there was a point in time where you could just, as a novelist, like write a Star Wars novel and it wouldn't be a whole licensing issue. So there's tons of books, comics, like whole worlds out there based on like one character that appears in a movie or like the family of a character that appears in a movie very briefly, you know, people who don't even appear. And now there's like whole teams at Lucasfilm whose job is to like delineate between what is canon and what is legends. And legends is what they call things that aren't like basically like corporate approved canon.
That's
a lot of
a really
sifting.
cool way to think about it though.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I mean, I think it's, and then at the end of the day, it's like what's real to you is real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't know it spread out that way.
Yeah.
That's so much to sift through and be like, how do they know? Like, how do they know which, like, just by the credits that are on it?
Wait.
Yeah, it depends. Like novels, comics are legends. Movies and Lucasfilm TV shows, some of the animated stuff is canon.
Some of the animated.
There's like a lot of that's a lot. I feel like similarities between that and Doctor Who. Like there's so many years of Doctor Who stuff that like people argue what's canon, and now there's like audio stories of like random like companions' moms with like random doctors that they never met from like the 60s and stuff because most of the doctors are still alive and it's just audio, so like and I'm like, that seems crazy to me. I'm like, I can't keep track of that, and there's time travel and I'm like, I don't know what is canon and what's not. I'm just gonna stick to what they show me.
Yeah,
like maybe I'll dabble, that it's like sounds fun to dabble, but I don't know. I'm such a like, but did this happen? Like what, like
are the Legos canon or
the
legend?
Star Wars Legos?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's, the Lego sets are canon.
Oh, I mean, you know those, but the Lego
Lego
show
Star
on
Wars.
on
Yes.
Cartoon Network.
Oh.
Yes, is that
I-
canon?
Wow.
Because that's what
That's
I
a
was
good
like. That's
question.
probably not canon. That's what my
That
first
is a really good
instinct would
question.
be
I
to
think
assume.
those are canon
Oh.
because I don't think that they can, I don't think that like
Clone
in the
Wars or
Lego
something.
universe they're like, Clone Wars is deeply canon.
Well, no,
That's,
but
like,
the
very-
Lego Clone Wars.
The Lego Clone Wars I think
Oh
is
my
also
gosh.
canon.
There's layers and layers.
I don't know
I
anything
don't
about
think anything
Star
happens
Wars.
in the Lego Star Wars universe that didn't already happen
Oh, okay,
in some canon form
Okay.
of media.
interesting.
Like I think, you know, because the movies are often these like snapshots of like, oh, like this is one moment in like
Yeah.
an epic ongoing war.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the series and the books are like, and here's all the other details of that war. Like
Yeah.
specific battle. It's quite boring.
We
I
Chuck
really liked-
fans, all we got to worry about is 5 seasons, less than 100 episodes, from what I recall.
I can sit down and watch Star Wars, like, and I just can't pick up the lore. Like, I can't understand
no, me
it.
neither.
Yeah.
I said it already on
Like,
this
I
podcast.
really
I
try
can.
to.
It goes in one ear, out the other.
I really do think it's best if you just like treat anything you're watching in the Star Wars universe as just like, I'm not gonna think about anything that happened before or after this. Like,
That's right.
literally, it's an exercise in mindfulness and just like
Being
I
in
don't
the
need
moment.
to know nothing. You
Yes,
know?
meditate on
I-
this moment.
I loved Andor though because it was like the show that made me understand the gravity of the rebellion the best I've ever understood
never
the
seen it.
stakes. Like I was
Yeah.
like, okay,
I've heard it's pretty anti-capitalist.
yeah.
Mm.
I heard that like the reason they were able to do it was because like they weren't really paying attention to that show when it was getting made.
Love it.
And they were paying attention to the Mandalorian. And so they kind of just
for that to be the reason.
and they were just like, yeah, we're gonna make it really, really I was like,
And they
Disney
didn't get
made
caught.
this?
I gotta say,
That's crazy.
though, like having maybe perhaps worked on a Star Wars show, they're paying attention to everything. Like I've never worked, well, besides Marvel, like I've never worked at a workplace where there was more attention being paid to like, you can't do that. That's not Star Wars, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
The fangirls at the company.
they
It's
can't
a
say
company
Star Wars
run
isn't-
by fangirls.
they said
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
fact check yourself.
Yeah.
Or wreck yourself.
Well, I mean,
Star
the
Wars is
show did
anti-capitalist.
the Star Wars. Yeah, I feel like the original Star Wars anti-capitalist.
I feel like a lot of fantasy
Yeah,
storylines are
Dune.
like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen
I'm a
Dune.
Dune fan now.
I'm
love
behind
Dune.
on the Dune.
I've seen Dune
hype.
2 twice in theaters now.
I gotta go in IMAX.
Something, man.
I need to see
loved
the
it.
first one.
Did you
on a
see?
really
Where
big
did you
screen.
Mm.
see it?
I saw it at City Walk, I believe.
Okay, I saw it at City Walk 2, their IMAX first, and then I saw it at AMC 16 IMAX, and it's a smaller
where I saw
screen, but
Oh.
the sound,
The sound.
the sound was way better. It like it's not even that;
shaking
it's shaking you. It's like in your core.
Do
like,
I want to be
Nice.
shaken?
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay.
When at the beginning, when it does that, like before the credits or anything, it goes like, and you're like, what are they saying?
Do you remember that scene from the first Dune movie? It's like a brief one where they're on the Sardaukar planet where the Emperor's army is, and there's that guy, like a bald guy in a tower, and he's like doing something. There's like troops below him on the ground, and
I
he's
still
like,
need to see it.
"What is?" Do you remember that? I love that scene. Sometimes I like go on Max and put on Dune and just scrub to that scene. 'Cause I'm like, this guy is such a vibe.
He's dedicated.
He's like looking into the future, right, or something.
I think so. They don't really explain what he's
No.
doing, but I'm sure if you read the book, you know, I'm sure he's. I think
Listen,
it seems
the
like
book-
he's like giving intelligence to them.
The book made no sense to me. I read the
You
first
read the
Dune
book?
book.
Never get through it.
I read the first Dune book. Barely any of it made sense. And then while I was watching, I was like, yeah, I remember that, but this makes it so much clearer.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of fan fiction, I keep learning about his son. Like the author's son just keeps writing Dune books, and it's starting
Really?
to feel more like he's writing fan fiction because everyone's
took it
saying
over?
like,
Oh.
yeah, he took over the
kinda
mantle.
Wow.
I think the original guy only wrote like the first 5, and then
Okay.
everything after, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a shit ton.
And I don't think people think highly of it. But this is
Oh.
all me going off. script. I really got to
No.
double check these facts. But like, it seems kind of like, okay, like let it go. Like do
Yeah.
your own thing.
He took
you
it and
know?
ran.
I feel like that's how Miyazaki feels about his son,
Uh-oh.
who is a animation director and has released movies through Studio Ghibli. But like, people think that The Boy and the Heron is a cautionary tale to his like offspring about how maybe you can just let it go after I die. Like, you don't have to like carry on this legacy. Like, you don't have to take over the company because it is a big undertaking and you might not be as good as what I was.
Oh my gracious. That makes me look at the movie differently. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I want to get I want to get into reality TV.
Which you could say that reality TV is related to fan fiction.
It is.
Oh yeah.
Everything is related.
Yeah, everything is.
Real people.
I was thinking as
Real
I was,
characters.
And what's really cool about reality TV, I was thinking about the fact that we were going to talk about this on my drive over here. And I think that reality TV is in many ways the fans' medium because not only are the characters real people who will like never die,
Oh.
but they are aware of what you think about them. And they are like, those are exactly the people who are reading the things you tweet about them and like looking for information about what public opinion is. And so
You're
the
right.
things that you want can happen. Like you can affect change. You know?
Yeah, you're right. Because you can tell, you can be like, well, this is why this was messy this season, and then they'll change. They may
They'll
learn.
adjust accordingly.
Yes,
Literally.
or yeah, you can say something and they'll know how to be on camera more. You can say this was really dramatic and it was irritating everyone. They're like, okay, so I can act out.
Yeah. Or if they're like a real heel, you know, then they will be like, well, fuck you guys for thinking that about me. And then they'll like do something crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about the Real Housewives franchises or the characters or what the fans think about them. But the episode y'all had us watch of Real Housewives,
oh my goodness,
New York,
Scary Island.
I
Oh
was
my
like,
goodness.
wait a
Sam
minute,
Sun
what's
Psychosis is
wrong
the
with
name of the
Kelly?
episode.
Well, that was an infamous episode. Like, that is truly one of, like, if you ask New York fans what's one of the craziest episodes, chances are they'll say Scary Island. It's infamous.
It was my first episode of Real Housewives ever, so I was
Same.
like, is this the
Same.
level they're always at?
I mean,
No.
New York often is more heightened than some of the others. But the thing is, like, Real Housewives of New York, a lot of people just based on that 3-arc run of like when they go on the Scary Island trip, a lot of people consider season 3 to be one of the best seasons purely because of that. Even though
it all
seasons like
builds
6
to
through
that.
10 are definitely more like traditional housewives.
Okay. Because when I was watching it, I was kind of trying to, because I'm obsessed with Jersey Shore and Jersey Shore Family Vacation now. And so I was trying to
years
see,
of lore.
Yeah, I was trying to piece together what was going on, what the relationship between these women were, why because like you can kind of with the this happened previously, the previously on. But I was like, what is this? But I did see how that episode could be as big as like the Sammy Ronnie fight, or like this is the one where it's like this is when everyone was talking about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
If
yeah,
Twitter,
yeah.
Oh,
If
I
it had
wish I had
existed.
watched
Yeah.
that live. Yeah.
because it was season 3.
It's crazy because
Ooh,
like, so Bethany, you know, who's at the center of that drama, was kind of the breakout star of Roni seasons 1 through 3. And then she leaves the show in season 4 because she is able to sort of monetize her success as the breakout housewife into her own solo show about her getting married.
Oh.
And then eventually, like, she has like a few different like spin-off shows, I think. And then
Bethany
eventually
getting married.
Bethany getting married, like there was something else. I'll come back to that. But I won't. She eventually does come back to Roni, but not until season 7.
Okay.
And so it's kind of crazy because that and then Kelly only lasts one more season after that, you know? So it's a really iconic
Kelly's
fight that
deal?
never really gets any resolution.
Okay.
Was she on like a
So
bunch
yes,
of drugs?
let's-
Yeah,
She must
to
have been
give
on,
more
like-
context to someone who
Yeah.
hasn't seen New York, season 3 was kind of centered around a couple main things. It was that Bethany and Jill had been best friends. Jill Zarin, people might recognize that name.
Famously, Jill Zarin was kind of the, like, often with Housewives franchise, there's one woman it starts with who's really lobbying for, like, bring the show to the city, make a show about me and my friends. It'll be awesome. And that
She
was
was the
Jill
anchor.
Zarin.
Okay.
And Bethany almost didn't get included in the cast because she didn't have as much money as the other women. She wasn't married. She was kind of like
I was about to say, what do you mean she
hustler.
got married? Okay, continue.
Yeah, she was a
I know,
hustler.
she's not a housewife.
Yeah, it's in the name.
But Jill was like, no, you got to include her.
Yeah.
And so their friendship was very much like the engine of the first 2 seasons, you know?
And it was very strained from the beginning of season 3. So over the course of the season, we're seeing that like Jill thinks she has the upper hand and Bethany needs to apologize. And then over the course of the season, it kind of switches and like then Bethany has the upper hand. And then separate from that, there's like a couple other conflicts burning, and also
Like Kelly, who was new that season, I think.
She was
Kelly
new
Ben
season 3.
Simone.
Yeah.
Woo!
She was
Well,
acting like
was
that.
new. She was
But she was newer, and so that's
was
why she
newer.
felt
Newer.
attacked.
And she hated Bethany from
Yeah.
Jump Street. Like there's this
Okay.
episode earlier in the season where she and Bethany get solo drinks because they've really not gotten along.
God, yeah.
Like
Jesus Christ, that's
and
not a
this
great
is
idea.
so
Kelly
funny.
like goes berserker. Like she's just like it was so weird to watch. Because I mean, eventually, if you stay with Housewives, you will come to see Bethany as a villain. But in the first 3 seasons, she was very much like the person the audience is identifying with.
Right.
Because she's the most middle class, she's the most relatable, she's the funniest.
Okay.
And so it was weird that this woman, Kelly, who's like a former model, one of the famous things about
And her
her.
camera on the beach.
She's a
Oh
model,
my
so she knows how to use the
That
camera.
was ridiculous.
Oh my God.
She was
yeah.
like, I wanted her to get away
Kelly's
from me, that
one
camera.
of the funniest characters.
She is really
She
funny.
was funny.
It's unfortunate. Like I was like, Kelly, what the fuck are you saying? Like, but it was really funny.
You know that face she does when Bethany is like, so go to sleep? And she's like,
Right. Her gummy bears.
Oh my god.
She was just so taken aback.
And
Also, she was like, I'm
just died.
Bethany.
Throwing
Okay.
that- like, I was like-
she's like, and her dad just died. That's psycho that she's here.
Yeah, and she's like, don't tell people that.
So yeah, but this conflict at the bar was really central.
Okay,
to that
okay,
relationship.
Okay,
She
sorry.
was like, yeah, it's like Bethany's basically, I don't know. And I've never come toe to toe with Bethany Frankel, so I don't know how I would act. But Kelly just like loses it. And she's like, you're not worth anything. Like, I'm up here and you're down here. Like, there's no comparing us. We don't get along. We're very different people. And then the funniest part is Bethany is like, okay, you don't like me? I understand. Like, Bethany's very good at playing like the wry,
Yeah. Don't wanna come up
lower-key
against
person,
Bethany.
you know. And she's much smarter than Kelly, so she's just like, all right,
it's
you've made
not
it
a
clear
fair
you don't
fight.
like me, and we're not going to be friends. So
Right.
I'm gonna go.
No
and
need to
Kelly's like, why
continue.
don't you go? And then somehow with the way the bar is designed, Kelly leaves, but she doesn't really leave. She's like in a vestibule at the exit of the bar. So then when Bethany actually does leave, it looks like Kelly's there waiting for her to like
Jesus.
keep negging her.
Yeah.
And it's
She's like, "No, I'm
oh
going
my
on a date."
God. This is
So,
and then
yeah.
it turns out I think her date was at the same bar. So she pretended to leave, but had
Yeah.
also
Crazy.
told her date to meet her here where she was filming the show.
So stuff like that was going down all season, and it was just so clear that Kelly was so poorly matched to Bethany because Kelly's not smart. Like, she's one of maybe the dumbest people I've seen
was talking
on
herself in
any
circles.
franchise. And it's weird because you can tell she really, I don't know, she's in the bubble, like the 30 Rock hot person bubble, where like you can tell that she's just managed to get through life and succeed because she's incredibly attractive. Supposedly, I don't think she's attractive. But when it comes down to it, every time she's pressed, she reveals she's an actual idiot. Like, does not know what's
It
going
does.
on.
Her defensive is like nothing's making sense.
Nothing's making
Yeah.
sense. So
Like-
then the season builds to this trip that they all take to what eventually gets called Scary Island.
Which also for like the uninitiated in Housewives, there are almost always, unless it's like a weird season, you know, pandemic or something, there's almost always like 2 to 3 trips.
Right.
And there's one early on. And then by the time, then there'll be like a second sort of mini one where they'll go to someone's vacation house or something that's not that far from the city they live in. And then the third one is really where it all goes down.
Okay.
And usually by the third trip, the alliances are so different from where we were at the beginning of the season that
yeah.
it's really disorienting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I feel like
I-
Jersey Shore Family Vacation copied that format exactly.
Probably.
Like,
And, I mean,
exactly.
it's
and the
a
way they
great
kind of talk
recipe.
about.
Similarly,
It's awesome.
do y'all watch Selling Sunset?
Oh, yeah, and they're taking trips on
They
that.
take trips on that too, and it's always the biggest drama
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the world. I mean, I think
gotta
Bravo
get people
kind of
out of
set
their
the
daily lives.
standard for,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
a cast trip
Yeah.
like a key piece of like
Like,
good
I feel
They
drama.
get drunker. they're
girls'
not at
trips
home.
They're
like
stuck
are
in an
bad
Airbnb.
news.
Yeah.
There's,
Just in
like,
general, like there's
who's gonna
always
get
like
which room. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
always
And then,
everything.
like,
together on the same
there was
campus.
an episode of Selling Sunset where Chriselle and I don't know these blonde women's names. Chriselle and Emma were like
know about
pissed off at the rest of the group, and
God.
they stayed separately.
I saw
And then
this.
Amanza like
She's
took a video
"This
and was
is
like,
so uncool.
"This, yeah." She's like, "This is a family, and she's not here, and I
So
can't believe she would
disrespectful. I
stay
love
somewhere else." And I'm like, "Well, Chriselle hates
Also, her
other
ex is
name.
there.
Yeah, her ex is there.
Chriselle's fresh ex
Oh,
is at this
Selling
dinner. Her
Sunset
boss.
has some crazy
She
drama.
Of course,
hates.
she's not going to want to
She
go.
hates his
Hello?
hello.
What?
What's going on?
Hello.
Hello? Is it still recording on
We're
there?
just getting good.
Goodness gracious, we were getting
Maybe
into
it's
it.
just that we can't hear this because it's,
that still going?
That's still going,
Okay,
and we're back
weird.
online for some
Anyways.
reason. Anyway, what were you saying about?
that was the
I was
ghost
just
of
saying,
Kelly,
yeah,
Kalora, and
Chriselle-
Ben Simone.
Just knocking the wind out of the mic.
I was saying Chriselle was dating her boss, just broke up with him, and then everyone's expecting her to not only go on a work trip with this boss and everyone else, but also attend every single event, and they're acting like it's crazy that she wouldn't want to always be around her
With
ex.
that woman, I can't remember her name,
Yes.
but with that woman who's attacking her constantly.
Right.
Like, who's like
Who's always like, why are you mad at me?
so
the
mean.
new girlfriend,
new
Yeah.
her
girl.
ex's new girlfriend, who keeps
No.
being like, "Why don't you like me?"
It's her plus
Ugh.
that plus his other ex-girlfriend.
Oh my god.
That other woman woman who just came on the show this season immediately attacked Chriselle, and she's like, "You're clearly attacking me to get famous, and you're making my life worse." She
called her out like that?
Yeah, she called. Chriselle was like,
Chriselle
no
knows how to
nonsense
handle it
this
by
last
now.
season.
Yeah.
In the first season, she was like, sweet little girl from Kentucky. And then she got a divorce. She got to be the most famous. She's
got
gay
gay.
now. And she's not taking anyone's bullshit. And people
That's
are like,
the
she's
flip
so
effect.
rude now. And I'm like, no, she's just standing up for herself.
She just has boundaries.
Wow.
She just
Which
has
is,
boundaries.
Like, a common thing on reality TV that like someone starts standing up for themselves and suddenly it's like, oh, like
She's the
That's
same.
what's happening to Ariana on Vanderpump
Yeah.
this season.
it's
It's
really
crazy.
Oh my-
Because
tired.
those who know, listeners who know, Scandival happened last year. It was that Tom Sandoval was her partner and cheated on her. So then with
heard
her
a little
this
bit about
season,
it.
with her best friend,
Raquel.
it was horrible.
On
Scandal.
television?
For months.
And this was all
For
caught on
months.
television?
No, it was going on while they were shooting, but it didn't come
Okay.
out until after they'd put cameras down, and so it was a really big thing because they picked cameras back up to shoot the aftermath of it.
Unprecedented.
Yeah.
But then this season coming back from Scandival, she's just like healthfully saying, okay, one of my boundaries is that I don't want to really have mutual friends with him. So if you want to be friends with him, that's fine. I can't control that. But then I don't really want to be friends with you. And
That's
her main
fair.
reason is not just to be petty, but like, I don't want details about my life getting back to him. I don't want these channels of communication open. Very clear boundary to me. And friend after friend of hers this season has been like, it's so unfair. Like, what about my relationship with Tom? Like, I've
Like,
known
didn't
him
you
for so
think about
long.
what
Like,
I lost? And it's like,
yeah, and it's like, how is that fair of her to tell us that and like tell us what
and
to
it's like
do
coming
and who we
to
can
from
be friends
people who
with?
don't even like Tom.
No.
you know?
God.
No,
I can't handle whining about setting someone else's boundaries.
No.
Like it's like you just have to walk away
there's
at that
so
point.
much discussion. It's
I
crazy.
just don't understand that because also like why would you want to stay friends with someone who cheated on her for months and months and months?
know.
and
Right.
lied to
And I
all of
don't-
your faces
I
and used
honestly
you for his affair.
Don't even think they do. I think that the thing about, and especially in Bravo, I think the power hierarchy that is set. So, you know, in the Bravo verse, which is Vanderpump, the summer houses, the winter houses, all the housewives, there's always a reunion. The reunions are hosted by Andy Cohen, who's like the godfather of
Right.
Bravo. And there's like, you know, at the end, like it's always a big thing when the reunion seating chart comes out, which comes
my
out like
God.
months before the reunion actually airs. And it's like, who is in the 2 seats next to Andy? That's where you want to be. If you're at the end, you might need to worry about your casting contract. You know?
Oh,
And
it's
I
like
think
that?
what it is people can sense like, okay, Ariana was in first chair at the last reunion, of course. And I think that there's this like urge to like knock people to like, even if like you know that you're not going to look good doing it, as
Yeah.
long as you're engaging in conflict with the first chair, you stand a good chance of being the other first chair.
Yeah.
And I
Gotcha.
think that
Yeah.
that's really what it's all
Scenes.
about. Like,
It's
I don't
like
even
Hunger
think people are like
Games.
acting on what they feel so much as they are like, I gotta be where the drama is,
Mm-hmm.
even if
Yeah.
I'm a bad guy.
That's how that woman
it's
who was like
not
challenging
blurred.
Chriselle was. I can't remember her name.
That was her entire strategy.
She-
I
her-
can't remember her
it
name.
starts
and
with a
Chriselle,
D.
Chriselle was like, "You're just doing it to get famous." Like she said it to her face on
Great.
camera,
That's
and she was
crazy.
like,
As
"I don't
you
know, she's
should.
The best
crazy."
thing you can do, you need to
Yeah.
call that
Yeah,
behavior out
'cause then
on
they-
camera.
Yeah,
The
'Cause
audience
Don't
can't.
get flustered.
Oh,
Just
I-
call it like you
it's
see
also
it.
like
Exactly.
everybody usually on these reality shows, I flip flop whose side I'm on, and I'm always on Chriselle's side. Like
Yeah.
I'm
you watch Housewives of
consistently.
Yeah,
No.
I was
I
surprised.
I'm a real Bravo purist, honestly.
Do you watch any dating shows?
Oh yeah.
So you
Do you watch-
haven't-
what were you
Oh,
gonna
sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna no, you go ahead.
I was gonna ask, have you not seen any of Mauricio's Netflix show?
No, I'm also not really into real estate shows, to be honest.
Neither am I.
I also just
But I'll sit
learned-
there if someone else is watching it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care about the real estate. I care about the drama.
I just feel
I
like
just learned
everything
it's
I've
not real.
Yeah.
The drama or the real estate?
The real estate.
real
None
estate.
of them
none
are
of
real.
it is real.
None of them are selling.
That's what
any
that
house.
girl
What
was
are they doing
saying.
in that
What's-
office?
That's what that girl was saying. She was like, Chriselle, you're not a real estate agent, and I make
it's
more
true.
on real estate than you. And she was like, I make more than you in a year than in a month than you make in 2 years, because she does with all her brand deals and stuff.
Yeah, she
But
doesn't
she was
sell
like, and
any
that's
houses.
just because of your internet fame. And Chriselle's like, I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah,
like
I
it was
mean-
literally like that.
But that's crazy. That's crazy that they claim to be real estate agents, though.
I mean, that's the thing. Everyone loves a workplace
Yeah.
reality show is fantastic.
I don't
But then
mind it.
eventually you
Me
get to
neither.
a point where, like with Vanderpump,
I don't care.
none of them
Oh
work
my
at
God,
the restaurant
Vanderpump.
anymore. Like
Oh,
it was
right.
in its golden age when it was a show about like the messy relationships between waitresses and bartenders at Lisa Vanderpump's restaurants. And now it's about like a stable of influencers who used to work in the service industry and now are all sober and
That's
Is
how it
that-
always
pretending
goes
to be
because
friends.
that's how it always goes because then they get enough of a following to get brand deals and they don't need the job that
Yeah.
they started with. I
Is
guess.
that
makes
as
sense.
interesting now as it used to be?
No.
Because like I feel the same about
It's a quick no.
like Love Island All Stars just came out,
Oh my God, and boy, did it suck.
and
Boy,
they were.
did
It was
suck.
just all
I need
like
them to do
the
some different
drama
things
about like
next
being
time.
getting. Am I going to get back with my ex? Am I not going to get back with my
Yeah.
ex? We're all already famous, already rich. Like where are the stakes?
Yeah.
It also like they made a I think that they should stop doing the winter seasons of Love Island because
Yeah.
Too many.
Love Island All Stars or Love Island Games.
Games?
Love
I
Island
loved
Games
that.
was sick.
I
Yeah, that was
such
good.
a
Love
good
Island
idea
Games.
to bring together people because it was so cool to see the way that like the Brits had to change up their game because the
Yeah.
Americans were there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the
And-
Americans dominated.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Really?
Most of the people at the
Yes.
end were Black
Because
Americans.
America makes the best reality stars.
Wow.
and
It
Black
It is an
and
American media.
I'm going to
Yeah.
say
It
Black
is, real
Black
world.
Americans are community based, and they made alliances right at the top.
Yeah.
right up top.
And
an
then like the
alliance.
tenuousness of those alliances, like when Ray,
Yeah.
like I mean, he was being a fucking baby. But
Yes.
Yeah, but the girl he was with like didn't trust the alliance.
Yeah.
yeah. Amani
Imani.
didn't trust the
No,
alliance.
she was like in her
Yeah,
head.
Amani kind of lost me at the end there. 'Cause
She
at first
did.
I was like, oh, I love her. She's a real like people's champ. But then I don't know. It was also like I guess part of the point is that they all have to really believe in like what does trust mean here. But
Yeah.
it's also like you know, I don't know. It just felt like she had like an issue with Selly and Justine, I think interpersonally.
Yes,
yeah.
I think it was
like-
yes, but I feel like the reason why Love Island Games was so interesting was because it was a different way of
Yeah.
strategizing who you're gonna couple up with,
Yeah.
rather than just like, oh, I'm gonna like flirt with this guy and then maybe flirt with this guy
Yeah.
and see which one to land with. This was like games.
Yeah.
Like,
I liked
who's
that-
gonna help me win.
I like that the Black
you could
girls
say that
had
with your
main
chest.
storylines in
Exactly,
a way that they
because-
don't
Yeah.
in the UK because it's
Yeah.
always a Black girl who's like, I don't know why I'm like not getting.
I don't know why no
like,
one's
no one-
talking to me.
Right,
That's
and it's like-
racism, huh?
and it's racism and like they
tell her?
they just don't show them. They don't put anybody in there that wants them. Like
Do you remember last summer season of Love Island UK? And this is what's hard, is that like Love Island UK is infinitely better than Love Island US.
Yeah.
But Love Island UK is so racist. And there was this like there was like a challenge where Sammy, who I fucking hate, he said that
think I
he
know what you're about to
thought
say.
that Meddy and Whitney and Catherine and Scott were faking their connections.
Yeah.
and that
Right.
Meddy and Scott weren't really into Catherine and
Yes.
Whitney, who are two like Black women.
Yep.
And they both like took him aside and were like, "Why
Why
would
did you say that?"
Like, and I kind of feel like they knew.
They
Like,
did.
were like,
I
what about
remember this.
our particular couples would make you think that they're not really into
I
us?
just watched that episode.
Yes, they
He
were
was
really
like,
trying to like
I
ask.
don't know. It's just a feeling I have. I didn't mean to
Sammy's
offend
awful
you.
with conversation.
That
He
made
gets
my
so
brain
defensive.
itch.
He was like he didn't understand it at all why they would be offended. And to
Sammy
be fair,
sucks.
Sammy sucks. I
To
hate
be fair,
Sammy.
I felt the same way as Sammy. I felt like those two boys were playing those two girls, but I
You
wouldn't.
thought Scott was playing Catherine?
Yeah, but I haven't finished the season.
Okay, finish it, and then let's circle back because
Okay.
I
don't know.
I
Scott
have my
just keeps-
opinions on Scott.
Scott just keeps flirting with every new white girl that comes in. That's why I think it. And I hate Meddy.
Maddie is a homosexual and also a bitch.
Okay, I hate Maddie,
that
but I was
why
going to say
you
that about
hate
Scott.
Maddie?
I think that Scott is closeted. And that's why he's been in 3 different villas.
Has he really been like? He's so
In 1 year.
non-memorable to
In
me.
1 year.
Where has
He went
been?
to Love Island,
He was
UK.
in Love Island, and immediately after he got dumped from Love Island UK, he came to the Love Island US,
US.
house because they were shooting
Yes.
basically concurrently.
Didn't
and then
get
he went on
home.
Love Island Games.
Right.
See, I don't remember him at all. He's so forgettable.
I really
To
thought
me.
he was quite fine.
No, he looks like Prince Eric.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
does.
But
And he's just
I
I
can't
have
remember
my
what he looks
by
like
the
right
end
now.
of Love Island
I
Games,
have
he
my
had really
reservations.
worn out his welcome with me. I
Yes.
think by that point, it
Who was he
like,
with in Love Island Games?
Courtney. No.
The girl with like
Courtney, like
No.
he talks like that.
Yeah, he ended with Courtney. That's
Are
the
you
voice, y'all.
kidding?
right because
I don't remember this
Johnny
at
played her.
Yes.
Oh, Johnny. No, I can't.
Really
No.
frustrating. It was like
Johnny.
I
started
know
watching-
Influencers are like different from people like you. Or
I know.
I started-
How is everyone
Going
thinking
after
that they're
Johnny?
gonna get after Johnny and have a different result?
Right.
That's what I'm
saying.
saying. Oh my god! When I started watching
It
this.
happened in the villa too.
I started watching Love Island Games with my roommate Esty, and she had never seen Johnny's season of US. I had, and I knew all the drama about after. And I waited until he said his piece. He like coupled up with somebody, and I said, "Villain, villain! I hate this man." She was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, what's up?" And I was like, "He's evil."
The way
He is
came in
evil.
was villainous. Like
No.
kissing
Evil.
Sally.
Yes.
Come on, man.
I was pissed about that.
I was so
like, don't touch
pissed.
her. Don't touch her.
And
I
then
didn't
he
like
acts
Sally.
dumb.
so
He
mad.
plays
Right, me
dumb.
too.
He's like, I don't know, like me.
He plays dumb,
Like,
but he is
I don't
dumb. He plays dumb, but he is dumb.
No, I can't. I'm
He
getting
is
too
dumb.
heated.
Yeah.
I'm getting too heated.
Johnny is a villain. Everybody
Johnny
who
is
went
a
for him,
villain.
it was like, did you not see what just happened?
They think they're the exception to the rule. Like Jess went off on Johnny, and then what's her name? Courtney.
Yeah,
Courtney.
Courtney was like,
in.
"Wow, that was so weird." Like, oh my god.
I think Courtney. Really
And then
thought, like,
he
well, I'm
played
hotter than
Courtney.
Jess, so
I
he's
think-
not gonna.
I
you
think
know.
that's
what they
mindset of
all
of them.
think.
They're like, it's not gonna happen to me.
Well, I'm hotter.
And it's like,
And then that girl he ends with who can't speak English. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And not that that's her fault.
She was.
You know,
She was also shady.
She was.
was
Also,
shady.
she was. I was reading on Reddit about her season of Love Island Germany, and it was like, no, like someone was like, y'all, like she's really dumb. Like she's like, the
Okay.
exact same thing happened on Love Island Germany, where like she went after the fuck boy who had already like screwed over a few different women and was like, I don't know, I feel this connection to him, and I've never felt to anyone before.
I feel like Johnny goes after women who are not the brightest.
Yeah.
Or he thinks are not the brightest because Courtney isn't
fuck
dumb.
boys can suss out girls
Who are gonna stay.
Will think that like they can change a fuck boy.
Yeah.
I just don't know why he
Right.
would go on TV and do it over and over and over and over
Yeah.
again. Like,
But he, on
it's-
several shows, not just Love Island. He was
I
on
think
that
in the
All-Star
same
maybe.
way that like there's dudes out there who think that like being toxic is like a cool thing, you know? Like it's not cool to be toxic, guys. But
Yeah.
like where they think that it's like the same way. I think that to them it's like the way that Fleabag is like representation to messy women. To them they're like, yeah, like it might not be neat and pretty, but it's who I am. You know? I think that the Johnnies of the world see themselves as
You're
like
right.
warriors of truth.
Yes,
you
they're
know?
like, listen, you gotta take me from me. I'm not gonna change. And it's like,
Exactly,
get
exactly.
some help.
Yeah.
Get therapy.
Get therapy for
okay.
the rest of us.
not to be like so podcast interviewer, but that the way that you're describing these men, he's reminding me of LBJ.
oh.
The way that you portray LBJ in the play is not like, I feel like was also a toxic man.
Put LBJ in the Love
Oh,
Island
he was
Villa.
most certainly a toxic man. But that is not to get super podcast though.
No,
mean,
I want to hear it.
Yeah.
he was definitely a toxic man, but one of the things that fascinated me was that he got a lot of things done, and the only way that he was able to get those things done in order to help people was by being toxic in a toxic system. For speaking politically, you know, the way he treated women was just like, okay, that was just full on bad.
Right.
Very much expected. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of like the interesting paradox about him is that he
got shit
accomplished
done.
more than any other president you can probably name besides FDR. Established the entire basis for what we consider the Democratic Party today. Nobody after him has come close. Everybody's like working off of his accomplishments and not adding to them, basically. But he would not have been in a position to ascend to the presidency if he had not kind of like played the game and the corruption game.
Sounds like Love Island.
Exactly.
Put
Exactly.
LBJ
game,
in the
babes.
Love Island Villa.
You've got to play the game.
Yeah.
Go play game, babes.
He definitely played the game.
I'm here to
not a
find
game
love.
player.
They get so offended when
I'm
people call them a
loyal.
game player.
I'm loyal,
They get
babes.
so offended. I'm like,
No,
Babes,
I'm
I'm
y'all, you're
100%
literally
loyal.
Islanders. You're literally
Here
game players.
for a game.
Yeah.
Like, is that
Stay
really
Like,
in the
just
as
let it
long as
roll off your
possible.
back.
Yeah.
And then I remember they're all like 22. And then I'm like,
Oh, God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
What about LBJ did you want to focus on specifically? And why
Well-
did that make you relate? Like, what made you like,
That was
I could be this?
well, that was a big problem because the I Could Be This came first.
Okay.
With Caitlan saying you should make a show where you're LBJ. And
Right, I
I
have
was
a
like,
question about that too.
sure, what's the
Oh
question?
no, finish this one. Sorry.
And it was
ADHD.
like, hell yeah, I would love to do that. And then I went back and like did a bunch more research and like reread the books and was like looking in very detailed oriented like research for stuff to use for the show. And then it was too much and it got overwhelming. And then when it turned into me trying to tell Caitlan like, okay, so here's the story of his life. And it turned into like a tangled web of plot points that were just like not gonna fit in this play.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like it was somewhere in like that several month long period where I was like trying to flesh out the show that it emerged like, okay, well, at the same time that I'm figuring this out, I'm also coming out and coming into my gender and exploring that. And why did I say yes immediately when Caitlan said I wanted to do a show? And like I just kind of thought about it for a bit and was like, seems pretty clear why I wanted to dress like a cowboy. And so
There was this day, like at some point after it had been pitched, you know, by me that Sunny should play LBJ, but it wasn't yet like, you know, this was pre-Spaghetti Fest. Like, you know,
This might answer my question.
it was very new. And I remember me, Sunny, and Albert all went thrift shopping together. And Sunny found these like Western style blazers that like at first I feel it was like, you know, when you try on something kind of funny, you know, while you're shopping, but then it was like clear that they, you know, they looked great. And then it was also clear like something's clicking into place.
Oh yeah.
well, it was like the blazer looked so good and it fit me so perfectly and it felt like kind of fate. Because at that point, I was saying I'm writing this show, even if I wasn't literally writing it. So it was just kind of a like, great, well then I should get these because eventually I'm going to use them for LBJ. And so I did, and that's what I wear in the show. But I don't know. It was kind of a like, yeah, I'm doing it, but it was being worked out as it was.
Yes. Okay. Sometimes you have to just you have to say you're gonna do something, and then
Yeah.
everything will fall into place around it.
That's really what
like,
happened.
Yeah, like people are like, if you wanna act, but you don't want to claim that you're an actor, you say I'm an actor, even
Yeah.
if you have no projects. And same with like being an artist and
Yep.
like literally anything
The
that you want to be.
president, you know.
Yeah.
That works too. But like, it's like that's a very inspiring story because my question was gonna be, what made you say, well, you should be LBJ when Sunny was telling you all about it?
I've never heard
initially?
you ask this question.
Like, what about them, I guess, like spilling everything they've learned about it made you be like, well, the way that you could maybe put this all together is by writing a show and self-inserting yourself?
I guess it was, you know, I've known Sunny for a long time.
Right.
I've seen them like get excited about ideas before. But I feel like there was something with the LBJ of it all where it was like, this is surpassing just like, oh, I'm reading an interesting book about something I didn't know that much about. It was like clear, like there's a lot of admiration for this man, I think, like simmering somewhere inside. And just like also kind of like, yeah, there's some complicated feelings, I think, wrestling with all that he represented. And it was like, this is sticking with you in such a personal way. And Sunny is like a very gifted character performer anyway. So I think it was like a little bit just me being like, that would be funny to see. Like I would love to see them try and do that voice and that physicality. But also
The voice
it was
is
like,
so
It's
funny.
yeah, it's great.
It's so funny.
it's a fun
can't.
accent. Yeah.
It's great. Well, we're from the South, and it's like not a lot of people get that like Southern accent correctly.
Yeah.
so you think it's correct?
Yeah, I think
Good draw.
No, I think
okay.
it's really. No, I think it's good.
Not a good draw.
Oh no, I don't know. I'm not from the South.
We
I've
are
heard
from
that
the
from
South.
people from Texas specifically have said like, "Oh, are you from Texas?" And
It's
I feel
sa-
very complimented by that.
Yeah,
good.
it's like we're not even from Texas, but I'm like, that's Texas. You know what I mean?
It's very
This
real.
is
This
Texas.
ain't Texas.
This ain't Texas.
This is
Not
Texas.
how Beyonce's song goes.
That's interesting because as Amber was asking that question and as you were answering, I was thinking like there are parallels with like the hoops that you have to jump, that you feel you have to jump through to get to be president, are similar to like strangely invisible but like tangible hoops that you have to jump through to like figure out your gender.
Oh,
Like-
I've never thought of those parallels. Yeah.
It just occurred to me. I was like, it's just like a long and complicated path.
I mean, yeah, it definitely resonates on like there are no right answers.
Yeah.
I think to me it was like the question of like was he doing the right things or like was he a good person was honestly resonating to me more on like a literal level, because it was like the years 2020 to now, which have been kind of fraught with the question of like, what is the right thing to do?
Yeah.
And this was also around the time I thought I was like maybe gonna quit everything and go be a lawyer. So I was like taking the LSAT. So it was like, I guess that was also mixed in. That why I was like kind of fixated on this guy who there is no right answer. Because if he had ended up VP and never accomplished anything in the end, like we would just consider him to be like, yeah, corrupt, bad guy. But do the ends justify the means? Like that we've been doing this show for a couple years and I'm still talking about that issue and it's still stuck in my brain of like, yeah, what is the right thing? What is moral? And like, if it's a corrupt system, like if you are focused on remaining moral in that system, is it actually moral? Because you're then getting nothing done and helping no one and you're only really feeling better about yourself. So, that was the whole thing with like kind of not JFK literally, because he was also corrupt in his own ways, but he did kind of err more on that side of like, I'm popular with liberals and with people who want to do good things, but I'm not actually able to accomplish those things. So I don't know. I think about this way too much.
I'm going to be thinking about this too.
I know,
I'm
my
so
head is kind of,
excited
like,
to see the
expanding
show
right
again because I haven't seen it in a while. And you're moving to a bigger theater.
A little bit, yeah. And it's
very
funny because like
exciting.
that was something that I was thinking about constantly when I wanted to write the show. And then it's probably one of the themes that is like pretty far back in terms of the actual show. Like it's not the central question of the show or anything like that. But it's what kept me motivated to like keep learning about him and like say like, no, this is an important guy.
What do you
in
think?
a way, I think it is like how like weirdly, I do feel like that is a big question, even in like the play outside the play within a play. It's like how much can you justify putting other people in emotional and physical peril for the sake of your own self-discovery? You know, like
okay,
how
that
many people have to be collateral damage for one person to own their identity?
That's real.
Yeah.
That
Would you
can
say
relate
that's
back-
the central question of the show?
I think it's one of them, in my opinion.
I mean, it's a big one.
I was gonna say you could relate that back to reality TV or dating shows.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask earlier if you've seen Love Is Blind.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Every season.
Yeah.
I
I
haven't seen the most recent season, but I've just been hearing about it.
because I keep bringing it up. I just watched season 6, and that's the first season I've ever seen.
Same.
Okay, the reunion. You've seen other reunions.
I've seen other reunions.
Why do they have they focus half the time on couples from past seasons? I don't care about those couples.
Okay, yes, that, but also the Lachey's kind of, they give cult leader to me. Am I wrong?
Have y'all seen the Twin Flames documentary?
No.
Yes.
They remind me, and Amber brought this up, and I'm like, yes,
They
that's
remind
who they
me
are.
of the Twin Flames documentary of the cult leaders who are like dealing with this,
like
or
mother
leading
and
the
father.
Zoom. Yeah.
They're like the couple, and they're
I'm
like,
why
you
is y'all
two
input
can
so
be
much on the drama?
like
Yeah.
you can have a relationship that's just like ours, which is perfect. And
Yeah.
I think that Vanessa Lachey is like damaging. Like her questions, I think,
Really?
are emotionally damaging, especially.
she's nosy.
It's so funny because I was watching it again with very little context other than this season. I was watching it and saying like, "Wow, I actually think they're doing a good job." She's asking the questions that everyone is wondering.
And I
haven't seen that. I haven't.
I
seen
agree with that, but I also am like, I feel like she needs to do it in a way that's not so like intrusive as a host.
Yeah,
It's not
I
very
think-
Like
respectful.
she's giving a lot of her what she wants them to say when
She's
she's
revealing
asking.
her
She
own
had
feelings.
like I think she had a better reunion this year than she has had in the past. But often after the reunion, like the vibe on Twitter is like, who does Vanessa Lachey think she is?
Exactly.
She thinks
Why are you
she's
talking
she
to
thinks she's a
adults like
therapist.
this? Yeah.
She thinks she's a therapist and marriage counseling coach because on The Ultimatum specifically, that show is just like mental torture.
Queer Ultimatum. That's
Queer
the only one
Ultimatum.
I saw was the queer one.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Wild.
Wild. It's like
show.
I think it's
premise is
more.
crazy.
I think it's so emotionally damaging and like
Yes.
yes, the Lachey's were not on the queer ultimatum, but if you watch the straight ones,
No.
I'm like, what are you
I will never
on,
do
girl?
that.
Like, it's not respectful. It's like leading questions. It's like bullying. It's like
Yes.
It's like acting like she's a therapist, but she's clearly not like a licensed therapist. I think that she's doing more damage than like, I don't know, even when I see other reunions of other reality shows, I'm like, yes, they're asking the questions that we all want to know, but they're not doing it in a way that's rude or mean-spirited
or
like
hinting
leading.
at what they want them to say. Like, what I'm thinking of is I also then watched all of season 1 and got to the reunion, and she was trying to get Amber to forgive Jessica.
Yeah.
And I was like, give it up.
Yes.
Give
Because
it up,
Jessica
girl.
apologized, Amber said what she said, and Vanessa was like, do you think you can ever forgive her apology, Amber? Jessica's? And she wouldn't move on until Amber was like, I appreciate what she
I can't.
means
It's
behind
very
it
like
all.
kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
And then she's always talking about like she's like we in our experiment and da 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 da. I'm just like,
calling it
this
an
is not an
hour
experiment.
Like
Yeah.
someone's gonna like
Are they
write up a
EPs?
conclusion.
They're the
paper
EPs, they're
on
the
it, you
creators.
know.
They make all the
no,
money
they
from
did
it.
not create.
They
I
created Love is Blind. They created The Ultimatum. They're making so much money on
They
it.
created
What?
it.
Yeah, they created it.
This is blowing
it
my
gives
mind.
cult. See, that makes me think
See,
it's a cult.
it's a
even
cult.
more.
It is. It's an
Because-
empire.
And you know what? I think that
my
not Vanessa. What was her name? Lauren and Cameron. I think they dipped. I think they're like, we're not gonna continue participating.
Yeah, I mean, and they're like, which makes me believe in them more. Like, I
Same.
think they're the one couple. Well, no, I think every season there's a cut. Like this season, it was Amy. Is that her name?
Yeah, Amy and Johnny.
Yeah,
Were
where
those
it's
the
like,
lesbians?
There were lesbians?
No, there was a straight couple that seemed very lesbian.
I feel like
Was this
Yeah.
the one with the birth control?
yeah. I was gonna say.
Okay.
I feel
I
like
think
yeah.
what-
What a weird conversation.
I feel like with them, it's like the couples that make it besides Lauren and Cameron. It's like you can only, I think you have to be simple. You have to be a simple
Yeah.
person to whom love is something simple. Like
Yep.
it's watching TV together.
Mhm.
It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, telling you about my favorite anime.
Yes.
And then like for those people, yeah, I think it's relatively easy to like get really jazzed on someone and then not be too surprised when you learn about their finances. you know?
I would fail on Love is Blind.
Yeah.
I think
would
so,
completely
too.
fail. I'm
Any
so
reasonable
picky.
person
You need the
would.
looks.
I don't. It's not even that I need the looks. I need to see how they're moving. Like I need to see. Like I can't. Like if I see a picture, I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't know what this person really looks like, but I need to see them
Yeah.
moving and
energy?
talking. What's their energy?
Mm-hmm.
I would,
Especially
and I'm
because-
so picky. Like I would be
Also-
like, yeah, I'm out of here as soon as if I saw them and I wasn't trying. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I feel
Sorry.
like you've got, I mean, like, I don't know. I have to be attracted to them, true, but also like they got to be attracted to me. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they play some of these people like fools. Where
Yes.
they
Yes.
To, like you're gonna send me on vacation with some guy who like the way he's looking at me, I can tell is like
I'm not their type.
Yeah, and
how
it's like,
uncomfy.
please.
And
I
also
don't-
with a girl that he dated that he preferred. Like,
Yes.
and like
Yeah.
clearly wished he picked.
But even on top of that, like being in the pods, I feel like that's too controlled of an environment to tell
Yeah.
if you like someone.
Oh,
right. You have
exactly.
people like bonding over like I'm sorry, but like the most trite stuff where it's like, oh my god, he loves butterflies and I have a butterfly tattoo.
Right.
Do you believe that?
my
It's like
God.
very like, oh my god, he loves like this very popular song, and
Right.
I want to play that song at my wedding. You know,
Yes.
it's
And the men
just-
always
Yes.
overpromise and
the
underperform.
men
Men
are
are
always
always
the
confused
type
as
who are
hell.
like, I am not the typical guy. I love The Notebook. Can you believe that?
Yeah, like okay. Also, Barnett. I'm going back to season 1. Barnett.
I've
I
got no
can't-
knowledge. I'm tapping out.
I can't get a hold on him.
Well, they work because he's scared of Amber. That's why
Yeah.
they're still together. Is he's
Okay.
a Southern man who is scared of his wife.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got
That's
to-
why
I
they're
just-
still together.
Yeah.
I just got to the point where she's talking to the mom and they're married, and she's like, "Well, you just have to. He's the man of the household, and that's what the Bible says. So when he wants a baby, then that's when y'all will start working on getting a baby because it's up to him."
And Amber said, "Hell no." She was like, "I will be having a baby when I want to, and Barnett
Amber's
will
hot.
always be mine."
Not me, but Amber. That girl's hot.
She's.
Sorry, I was attracted. to
I
her.
disagree with that.
I was
but
hot. I was attracted to her the entire season.
okay, we need to wrap up probably.
Wrap it up now. Now.
Okay. Right, because I don't know what her political views are.
They're
That's
definitely
something.
Republican.
Right.
Gotcha.
With that
They're definitely
mother-in-law.
Got it.
And they're from Georgia. So y'all,
Love is blind, though.
Wow.
last plugs,
Love is
last things you
Blind
want to
and
say.
LBJ is at Netflix as a joke festival.
Tell us the details.
May 3rd.
At Dynasty
at
Typewriter.
Dynasty Typewriter.
Amazing.
I think it's 7:30.
Yeah.
And that is
Okay.
a Friday. For those of you who are in Los Angeles, please come out. We will be there.
Yeah.
Link in
Yes.
bio.
And
Or
May
it'll
I-
be in my bio by the time this airs.
It'll be in this bio in our show notes.
Yes.
And follow Caitlan and Sunny everywhere. They're both amazing performers, writers.
Woo.
at
May I
Caitlan De Niro. Caitlan
Yes.
_ De Niro.
with an A.
With an A.
Caitlan. Caitlan.
It'll be in this description.
I'm at Zimmer _down_. And may I say real quick, if you're hearing this now, I would buy your ticket to Netflix Fest right now.
Right
because
now.
we're selling them fast and we're recording this a couple weeks before you're hearing
This show,
it.
LBJ is famously known to sell out.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
only
Get your
one
tickets.
show, and there's nothing booked beyond that yet. So you could wait a long time if
Get
you don't
your
see this
tickets.
one in May.
You're going to want to see
We're
this right now.
And we're trying to take it to New York. So listeners, if anyone has connections, please contact us both.
We have connections.
Okay, well,
We'll
we'll need to
contact
talk
you
off
both.
pod.
We got connections.
We'll talk off pod.
I don't know our connections.
Anyway, follow us at fangirl.central everywhere. We have a Patreon, Fangirl Central. You can join our Discord. We just added a tier for $1 to join the Discord, $5 to get the bonus episodes,
bonus
and the
content.
bonus
Random
content.
vlogs on Doctor Who.
So please support us, and as always, keep it
chaotic.
chaotic.